Welcome to the Talking Beards podcast, an entertainment news show all about the world of facial hair. You can catch the show live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern by going to talkingbeards.com. While you're at the website, you can check out all the other cool things that we do. We cover the latest news going on in the beard and mustache world, from competitions, contests, fundraisers, and all the charity work. We also have special guests each week talking about what they're doing to make a difference in the facial hair world. We also do trivia each week with really great prizes, compliments of Honest Amish. So make sure you tune in every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. at talkingbeards.com. Now let's get on with the show. Everyone, welcome to the 200th spectacular episode of the Beardcaster / Talking Beards, or Talking Beards with the Beardcaster, or Talking Beards, the podcast. It's all the same. We're all the same people putting out all the same stuff. So I am Scott Sikora. I am the Beardcaster. I started the Beardcaster podcast in December of 2015. And now we are into June of 2021. So it has been 9 years that we've been doing this podcast. And it finally took us all this time to get to episode 200, which is almost doing 2 episodes a week for the past 8 years. So it's, what's so funny?
Your math is just really, really good. I like it. At first, I was like, did he do that on purpose? And then I realized that you're just a complete moron.
Oh, I do stuff on purpose all the time.
Oh, I know. I've been around and I've noticed. And I think your incredibly bad habits have rubbed off on me quite spectacularly.
Oh, I totally agree with you too, because I think your bad habits have rubbed up on me.
Oh, the end.
Wow, that went south real fast there. But anyways, why everyone's listening in, this is going to be a audio only podcast. Maybe. But I am joined with my co-host of Talking Beards, Aaron D. Johnston, world champion, and all around great, wonderful co-host, great, wonderful, loving friend, and just an outstanding individual. And I am so glad that he is my partner in all of this stuff. So, Aaron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. So, like Scott said, I'm Aaron D. Johnston, and so I've had the honor of doing this show with Scott over the last 17 years, and yeah, I don't know. It's been a fun ride, and I absolutely never, ever imagined that I would do something like this. Like, I mean, I remember back, like we talked about a billion times before, episode 48 was like pulling teeth for me, and I didn't think that I would ever be able to get to this point, but we're here, and you've made it to episode 200. And that's,
well, yeah, definitely,
and amazing achievement, I think.
And, you know, we had a bunch of fans and everyone submit some questions through all of our social media over the past few days, trying to get some ideas of what you guys want to know about myself, us, or whatever, the podcast, stuff like that. So we got all these questions that we're going to go through, but we're going to go through the history of the Beardcaster and then how it's evolved into what it is today. And we'll try to go through it pretty quick, but you can go through older episodes of the podcast, and you'll be able to, you know, get an idea if there's anything that we don't really cover in this, because I mean, this topic has been covered multiple times in past episodes and stuff. So, you know, we'll just go back to the beginning. But Aaron, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So, this is something that I've thought about doing, and I've probably not got the best questions that I could possibly have, but I've always wanted to interview Scott Sikora. Scott Sikora has always interviewed everybody else, and it's that time. So let's get this ball started. Let's get the ball rolling. I don't know. Anyway,
much better.
Words. Yeah. So this question's been asked about 400 times, but I kind of feel like this is a good place to have it for 401. Where did you get started doing the Beardcaster? What got you started?
Oh, Aaron, this is a great question. I really appreciate you asking me this.
Thanks.
Yeah, But anyways, I got started doing it in my basement.
I hate you. What inspired you to start doing the Beardcaster?
Okay. I guess I misunderstood your question because I mean, you were asking me
not where you just like, not the place that you started. Like what got you started? What inspired you to do the Beardcaster podcast? Let's go way back, all the way back to the beginning.
Okay, actually, then this will be part of a story that's not been told very much.
Oh my gosh.
But going back to grade school, actually, I had a really good friend. His name was Chris, and I got a boombox tape recorder for Christmas or my birthday one year. We had to have been like third or fourth, maybe fifth grade, and we always used to tape record ourselves like we were like radio DJs and stuff like that. And we came up with this fun little radio station. It was called FM 100. And we would just record ourselves like just being stupid kids. And then we would of course, as kids do back in the day, and this is how you had to do it, our favorite song would be on the radio. And we would sit there and we'd wait till it'd come on, and then you'd record it. And then you hit stop, and then you'd take it and you put it in another tape deck. And then we would splice the two together, hit record. And we would build these like really elaborate, like stupid radio shows.
Dude, that's awesome.
I really wish that I could find these tapes. And I've even reached out to my friend Chris over the past few years, and I'm like, hey, Chris, you don't by some chance happen to have one of these? And I'm like, he was like, no, I don't have anything. And I'm like, oh, I know I have them. It's just whether or not they can be uncovered, but who knows? But that kind of like, I guess, influenced my whole thing of, as I went through high school and, got more interested in music and stuff and going to live concerts. As I went into college for my first year at Kent State University, I got really involved with the college radio program there, and just was totally like taken aback by like how the radio world worked, even college radio, and how everything's structured, the technology, just how everything worked in the radio field. And I really never really looked at it as in being like a personality, I guess. I did like a couple shows. I did like a Saturday afternoons. I would do like 4 hours of metal. And, so I that was really awesome for me because I was always able to like listen to the newest stuff, or I'd get the newest stuff before it came out, or I'd get like special requests to do like meet and greets and stuff at concerts, so I could get to go to all the shows I wanted to for free. And that was just super appealing to me because that's my life. That's what I did then, and that's all I liked. And then I got started asking, or I was asked by other friends that were on the station, hey, do you want to come in and fill in? We're doing like a debate about this or something on Thursday night, like during like when actually people listened to the radio.
Because no one listened Saturday night during your metal show.
No, afternoon. It was from 12 to 4.
So that was probably peak time for everybody listening to the radio.
Well, I mean, you figured it was the weekend and everyone would be like sitting around in their dorm rooms studying and stuff. But the weird thing is back then it wasn't broadcast over the air. It was only broadcast via closed circuit cable. So like you would have to turn your TV on to like channel 4 and it would be like a static screen. And then it would just have the radio station piped through it. So it wasn't like you could just be a regular person driving around and hear it. Like we would normally listen to college radio back in the day. So
it would just be each other and y'all were just listening to each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you get paid for doing college radio?
No.
It was just like, it was like a class or something like that.
There was communication classes, but I never looked into that. This was just like something fun to do. And you would do your shift. Like my first show that I did was actually Friday afternoons from 3 to 6, which was a good time. And we did have a lot of listeners, but I didn't get along with the host that I worked with. And I felt like I was working with Eddie Trunk. Now, if anyone knows Eddie Trunk, like he is just, I think he's a complete douchebag. Like all he cares about is ELO and Black Sabbath, and all of his like classic rock bands are like cool metal, and like you can't fight with him about it, and like his opinion's the only, and that's what this guy was. He was like, all he cared about was like Ozzy Osbourne and like Led Zeppelin and AC/DC. I'm like, dude, those aren't metal. Those are not metal bands. I'm like, this is
Just
a
like
metal show.
rock bands.
Yeah. I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be a metal show. So we ended up getting into a fight. He kicked me off of his show. And, but I was really close with the guy that was in charge of the metal programming, the program director. So he stuck me on with another guy. And, then it just kind of blah, 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 whatever, into me getting my own show on Saturdays, which then turned into me doing like fill-ins for like other people's shows. And I would do this one show with my friend Shaggy on Thursday nights. Something, I remember the name briefly, or part of it, something about.
Did they call you Scooby?
No.
Oh,
I didn't have
awesome.
No, but it was something under ruse, something, I don't know.
It's funny you did a show called Shaggy, because this is something that I've probably never shared, but like early 2000s, I was doing a lot of construction stuff, as I still am. And on this one project in Lawrenceville, Indiana, literally only, like, most of the people on the site didn't even know my name. They only called me Shaggy. And
good story, Pee Wee. Hope you find.
I was just telling you. Look at that. Look how everything, all the dots connect.
Yeah, because it didn't connect right, because I didn't do a show called Shaggy. I worked with a guy named Shaggy.
Yeah, and you do again.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Bonehead.
Now
That's
see, there you
connecting.
Go. Oh, you were connecting the dots. La 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 la.
La la la. Connected dots. Anyway, as you were saying.
So I would fill in on these random shows with guys. And then my other friend, Ryan, had a morning show. So for a brief stint, he couldn't do it or something. So I went in, I was doing like 5 a.m. till 8 or something before I'd go to class. Point being, though, is I was like not paying attention to school, and I was not doing all this other stuff that I was supposed to, because I was just more enthralled with being part of the radio station and broadcasting and doing all that stuff. And so I pretty much, like, we'll just say that I did not go back to Kent the following year, because my grades were not as good as they could have been to actually.
Radio ruined your college career.
Yeah, it killed the college.
That's where I was trying to go, but I couldn't piece it together fast enough. But.
Yeah, I know where you were going.
Radio killed the college student.
Yeah. And so after that, it was like I went back. The next year, I didn't do anything. And then I went back to a Kent branch for a couple of years. The college just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And really got involved in music at that point. And I was in bands, just playing, working jobs, doing whatever. And it just, it kind of like went to the wayside, the whole radio stuff. And I didn't really care about it. So
you never like tried to pursue being a radio DJ or anything like that as a career?
Nope, not at all. I mean, it didn't.
Do you ever think like maybe that's what you could have, should have done? Or
No, it was never ever a thought. Like, it was just something I enjoyed doing, even when I enjoyed it at the most, and I was really deep into the college radio scene. Like, it was never like, hey, I'm doing this because this could be a good career thing or whatever. But it just was, I was doing it because I enjoyed it, and that was it. Fast forward many, many years, and at this time I was tour managing and working for these different tour groups, and we were putting on all these different concerts all over the country and stuff, and I was getting sent out every weekend all over the United States to run these shows. And as I'm like meeting all these bands, and like pretty much I'm scouting for like minor league or minor labels and stuff and trying to find new talent, I was talking to a lot of these bands. They're giving me their demos, and I'm coming home with all this stuff. And we actually had another crew running a second set of shows on the opposite coast, so we'd be back and forth, like all like every month. And he'd be doing shows, he'd be bringing home stuff. Then we'd be having bands submitting stuff to our home office. And this was like, we're talking MySpace days. Yeah, it was a while ago. And so
we should bring back MySpace.
I tried.
A Talking Beards MySpace.
Well, I was going to try to, make a Talking Beards MySpace page, but no, I just didn't get to it. So anyways, we were getting all these submissions from all these bands. And next thing we know, I have like literally like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of CDs just piling up in my living room. And, you know, the guy I was working for, he's like, well, why don't you just start like plugging through them, like listening to them and just start pulling out the ones you like. And then we'll, you know, investigate more back into them. And, you know, if you remember seeing them play, you can kind of like add notes to that, blah, blah, blah. So as I started listening to this stuff, I'm like, I'm starting to find a bunch of really good stuff. And I'm going, wow, this is really great stuff. I'm like, but no one can hear it. Like, you got these like really cool metal bands that are playing in some small town outside of like Salt Lake City or something. And that's the only place they're getting their music heard. And I'm like, how awesome would it be if I could somehow figure out how to either like start a podcast, because this has to be like 2007, 2008, and podcasting had just started in like 2005, 2006. And so it was still really new, and I kind of had heard about it, but I didn't know a lot about it and didn't know how to start it. And as I was like trying to figure this whole thing, I still remember buying the Podcast for Dummies book, and I would start flipping through it, and I'm like, man, this just seems super complicated. I don't know about that, you know? And so in the meantime, I'm still going out every weekend, bringing home more stuff, finding some cool stuff. And I get hooked up with this girl who was doing a show at another college, and she wanted to do a local show. And so we met up one day, and I was like, hey, listen, I'm like, can I kind of toss this idea? I'm like, you want to do a local show? How about we do a local show for like just unsigned bands? I mean, they're local to their market, but they can be local anywhere. So how about we just do like an unsigned band show, and we'll call it Unsigned. And I'll go through and I'll just start putting all these playlists together, and then we can do the shows, and then we'll invite guests on, like local Cleveland musicians, and they can tell us about how they started from nothing and where they got to. And, you know, because at that time I had worked at Peabody's Down Under, which was one of the bigger clubs in Cleveland. And, you know, so I was starting to get to know a lot of like guys in like bands like Chimera or Mushroom Head, you know, bands that have actually, you know, done something regionally or worldwide and been national recording artists and stuff like that. So I'm like, I could pull from that too, and like have these people come on. We could talk about how they, you know, like I said, gone from nothing to something, gone.
Same thing.
Poor English. Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. And so she was like, yeah, this is cool and everything. So we started doing this, and I was like, wow. So this was like, I got back on the radio once again, and it was just going great, but I just was having a hard time working with her because she was just like, well, he's doing all the work. And so she wouldn't help me with anything.
So you were just doing all the work, and she was like, it was like her show, or? Yeah,
pretty much. And
was it on like a regular, like a AM or FM channel?
It was an FM channel, 88.9 WJCU. And so what I would do was I would get these songs, and then I would like let the bands know. I'm like, hey, we got a station out of Cleveland, Ohio that's going to be playing your song tonight. Blast it out to your fans. Here's the link so they can listen to it online. So we were getting tons of listens from all over the country. And at this time we were promoting like these bands, like, hey, you know, check these guys out and stuff like that. And it started getting, and it was doing really well. We had a couple other companies approach us about wanting to like go more internet radio with it. And, you know, nothing ever happened with it. So
I wonder why. It seemed like it was a really good thing. It was starting to catch on.
Well, yeah, I mean, and especially in like the year 2000, I think this was like 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm. You're like cutting edge.
I've always been cutting edge, Aaron.
Oh, I know.
By this point, I've already had a super long goatee for like the past 6 years. So I was already like well into the bearding world without even knowing I was. Yes. Yeah. So needless to say, things didn't work out, and we split ways. And, but anyways, as that happened, I still was doing shows and stuff.
Still reading your Podcast for Dummies book on the side.
Yep. And just nothing ever came of it. And so probably around the year 2011, 2012, I got my first iPhone. And of course there's that would find the podcasting app on there. And so I'm like, what am I into? And so I downloaded the app and I just type in like UFO because most people know I'm really heavy into UFOs and
now they're real.
Now they're real. So
you've been right the whole time.
Once again, cutting edge. I know.
Cutting edge.
Ahead of the curve, knowing more. But yeah, so I started downloading all these podcasts about UFOs and paranormal stuff. And I would like just sit and listen for hours and hours and hours at work, just being like, wow, this is great. I'm like working, but yet I'm like learning so much and I'm learning about whatever the hell I want to. And it just kept like developing into more things like, hey, I want to learn about such and such. So I type in such and such, and then I listen to podcasts.
Is there a lot of podcasts about such and such?
Yeah, usually it's like more like such and such, but not so much such and such.
I'm going to start listening to those such and such podcasts. I bet that'll be pretty good.
They are. They actually are. 5-star.
5 stars, such and such.
But yeah, so I just was starting to at that point, like my consumption level was just I couldn't keep up with it. Like I was subscribed to so many different podcasts, and it got to the point where I was like, wow, this is really great. I'm like, maybe now's the time that, I should just start doing one. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to figure it out. So I spent like almost 6-7 months just like consuming everything I could, like podcasts about podcasting, watching every YouTube video I could about starting a podcast. And I just started learning and learning and learning. And next thing I know, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to do this. But what am I going to podcast about? And that was the big thing. I'm like, shit. I'm like, I don't know. And then I was like, well, I know a lot about UFOs. I'm like, I should just do up like a UFO show. And so I'm like, getting ready to do this, blah, blah, blah. And getting my book collection up, starting to make contacts with people and stuff like that. And when literally I'm getting ready to do this, and probably 3 or 4 other podcasts like launch that were all UFO stuff with younger hosts and stuff like that. And I was just like, what the heck? I'm like, that specific niche was just overpopulated.
It was getting really full really fast.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like,
couldn't do talking UFOs.
No. And so I remember going out with my friend Baldface Josh, not
Baldface Josh. He's like the Beardcaster OG.
Yeah. Oh, actually, and I think I attribute him to coming up with the name The Beardcaster. And we went out to dinner with some friends one night, and we were talking. I'm like, hey man, maybe we should, I was still on this kick of like doing, we were going to do like a paranormal podcast. And
Baldface Josh.
Yeah. And it was, he's really into like ghosts and stuff. And I'm like, that shit's all bullshit. And
but UFOs are real, but ghosts are fake.
Hello, what did we just get proved?
Well, I mean, ghosts are still real too, right?
No, they're not. There's no proof.
Yeah, because you can't see them because they're ghosts.
Yeah.
You ever seen Ghostbusters?
Hey, look at me. You can't see me. John Cena, you can't see his face. Is he a ghost?
Maybe that's it. Maybe he's a ghost.
Yeah.
We should do an entire episode about, is John Cena a ghost? Is that why you can't see him?
Mm-hmm.
That's a podcast within itself.
It is. That's so meta.
So you and Baldface Josh go out to dinner.
Yeah, and so then we were just talking, and he's like, "Yeah, you should be the Beardcaster." And I'm like, "The Beardcaster." I'm like, by this point, I had already started into doing competitions and stuff. This is 2015, and my first competition I did, I believe, was in 2012. And so I was just like, wow, the Beardcaster. I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like, beards, a podcast about beards. I'm like, wow, this could be something.
Did the casting come from because you're a fisherman?
That was the other thing. I'm like, well, I could go either way because I was really big into bass fishing. So I'm like, oh, I could do it like the Beardcaster. Like I'm a bearded guy that casts his rod and he's catching fish. I'm like, there you go. Like I could go either way. I could do a fishing podcast or a beard one.
Fishing podcast, man. That would have been exciting.
And look at this fish I caught.
I mean, you can't see it because it's a podcast, but
no, it's
like 14 feet long.
Yeah. I mean, everyone would have to believe it because
that's right. I mean, that's what you do when you're a fisherman.
Yeah, that is. And so that's kind of how it was born. And I was just like, you know what? I go to all these competitions. I'm really meeting all these really interesting people. And that's how it started. That's how I got into it. I mean, like literally like from when I was like in third grade all the way till 2015 when I started it. And it was scary. Like, and I even go back and listen to the first episodes. They're horrible.
Dude, you were so good. Like I went back and listened to the first few episodes not too terribly long ago, and you were just such a natural from the beginning. It was amazing how really good you were. Just I would have never thought that was the first thing you did. Like episode 1, like I would have thought you were already doing some stuff and you were just like, oh, I'm going to start doing a podcast about beards now. Like nothing ever, like me as a listener and just being a fan of the show, nothing ever led to me to believe that was like your first jump into podcasting. Like you were just such a natural at it.
Well, and that goes probably back to I was interviewing other people, you know, before that, years before, you know, these musicians and stuff. So I kind of had that under my belt anyways. And just being in the beard community, I was always very inquisitive and always asking questions and this and that. So I guess
you were already training yourself for that moment.
Apparently I was, Aaron. Yep. Apparently I was.
Apparently.
So yeah. So like I said, I go back and I listen to these older episodes and I'm like, they make me cringe. But hey, you know what? That's where I was at that point. You know, obviously in the past 6 years, my style's completely changed. You know, we've gone from a, just straight off interview show that I was doing with people to now it's more of a talk show format where it's Aaron and I interviewing and also having all these other segments, and that was the thing that, when I first started, I was like, that was kind of what I wanted. I wanted it to be like interview. And then I wanted to have segments on the podcast. Like, yeah, I want to be able to cover all this stuff because there were so many competitions going on and there were so many like really cool beard oils and stuff and companies. And it's like, God, there's so many things I want to cover and I want to talk about. And then as I started like really doing the show and getting like, as they say, knuckles deep in it, they don't really say
that. Is that what they say? Knuckles deep? You're not even getting elbows deep. Oh no, we're just going knuckles. We're going to
like the first knuckle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so God, where was I going?
I don't know. Knuckles deep.
Yeah, knuckles deep.
Yeah.
Deep. I was really getting more interested in like the story behind the people that were like putting the events on and the events themselves more opposed to, yeah, this beard oil is great. Like I'm like looking on YouTube and everyone's doing like beard oil reviews and it's like,
let's do something different.
Yeah. And there was only one other podcast that was similar to what I was trying to do and what I started to do. And it was called The Drunken Beardsman. Okay. And it was based out of Australia, actually. And he had done a ton of episodes. And his whole thing is he was a bearded guy. He didn't compete, but he like at times he would have bearded guys on there, work competitors, and he would ask them questions. And so I really enjoyed those episodes. But then other episodes, he would talk about whatever he was like drinking, like some sort of, or like he had read a book and he, so he wasn't like,
it wasn't just one specific thing. It was just he was a drunken beardsman that was talking about whatever he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so that's where and him and I bounced ideas off each other. He's a really cool guy. We still keep in contact every now and then.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean that's how the whole podcast started. That's how the whole idea developed, and that's kind of how the whole idea is kind of transformed over the years. And just to constantly like check in through like to see other podcasts. And it still was like for years and years and years, there was no one else doing, there's been other people who've started podcasts that were similar and, but they just, everyone quits after like, 5 episodes, 20 episodes, 30 episodes, but to be like where we are right now at episode 200, like says a lot, especially as a podcaster. Now, there's a statistic out there right now, and as of June, 27th, 2021, there are now currently over 4 million podcasts out there.
4 million?
4 million, but only 600,000 of those have put out an episode in the past 30 to 90 days. So there's only like 600 actual shows that are actually doing something.
Do you know any statistics about ones that go over 200 episodes? Or is there a number that they hit and kind of stop?
Usually it's six to
really
6 to 10. Yeah.
That's not very many.
A new podcast that and that's what's happened is the number has jumped exponentially over the past couple of years, but it's because there's these companies like Anchor out there that you can sign up for do a podcast for free. And people are doing like, oh my God, I'm going to be a podcaster. And they start.
I'm a podcaster. And then they do a few episodes and then they just kind of stop.
Yeah. Cause they don't realize and that was the same with me when I started. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to record a podcast. Well, next thing I know, I have to learn how to be a web designer because I have to make a website. Yep. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, now I need to know how to be a social media marketer. Oh, wait a minute. I need to know how to market. Oh, wait, I need to know how to do this and that. And
there's more to it than just talking in a microphone and hitting record. There's all these moving pieces to it. So people actually listen to your podcast and actually get the message that you're putting out. Because, if you're just recording something and no one's listening to it, kind of, sort of, what's the point?
Yeah. But that's the same with this is for years and years, I didn't know people were listening to it. They were. I saw my numbers, which were never overly crazy, but I was always happy with them because, like they always say, it's even if I had 200 downloads for an episode, someone's like, well, imagine being inside an auditorium and 200 people are sitting in that auditorium. That's what you're doing. You're standing in front of 200 people and they all have your attention. And when you look at it like that, 200 people in a big auditorium, that's quite a big thing. Even 100 people. And even last night, as I stood in front of 40 people in a bar and emceed a competition, I just felt so connected with those people because they were there to not to just experience the whole thing. And me being the MC of the night, it was
your job to kind of storytell the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, that's what I love about this whole thing is, there's so many facets to just other than hitting record and doing some stuff and being an audio editor, an audio producer and putting it all together and voila, I had to become a blogger as well.
You are a blogger. Remember all those blogs that you used to type up that everybody used to read?
Yeah, that's why I stopped doing them because no one was reading them.
No, dude, you put so much time and effort into that, and I bet not 4 people ever even looked at it.
And that's the thing. You can go to talkingbeards.com and go to the blog section, and
they're in there.
They're still they're all there.
Yeah.
But the thing was each episode was literally taking me anywhere from 7, 8, 9 hours to do. And I was staying up super late every night. And then
you just put so much time into everything that you've done.
Well,
and that's one thing that's always been really you could really tell you really care about this podcast and you really care about what you've done. And like I've already said a dozen times, it's been an honor to do it with you, and it's been fun to, keep doing this and help you plug along and help the Beardcaster evolve into what it's evolved to.
Yeah. So then that goes to the next part of the story of pretty much how the Beardcaster kind of switched over or kind of opened its arms and wings into becoming Talking Beards.
Mm-hmm.
Now that whole story, as I said, my whole dream for this show was to, I wanted to do something that was more of a news, I was thinking news show,
right.
Anchors and
Beard news.
Yeah. And, interviewing people and then talking about different comps or different news, different stuff. Because I felt pardon me, there was so much stuff going on and it's and like I said, still no one else was really stepping up to the plate to do a show or anything like that. So I had met. Now, Aaron, you might have to help me with the timeline on this.
Okay, I got you.
Because,
what's the timeline?
Well, either it was I met you or it was Chris that I met.
So when
you I met first.
Yeah, I think we met first and we kind of joked about it, but you and Chris really kind of cooked up the idea of talking beards before I was involved.
Yeah,
you and Chris talked about it in Austin. I think what was it? February 2018.
That was right? Come and shave at 12.
Yeah, you and Chris had talked about it, and you all came up with the idea for the show, and then invited me on.
Yeah. So taking a step back, then, since Aaron's corrected my timeline here, now we'll go to the next question. That would probably be the most logical one. How did Scott and Aaron, of course, meet?
I like that you're asking my questions that I have written down. Like, I mean, it's fine. I'm just saying, it's like, they must just be so freaking generic. I mean, I've got a few that you're not going to guess, but I mean, as far as the timeline stuff goes, that's right. Like, so how did we get started?
Well, yeah, and it had happened that as I kind of researched back, like we had been at competitions together.
Not really. I don't think our paths ever crossed.
You were at the one that we did at the Cleveland Agora, because I saw you in the pictures.
You were there. Yep, that was right. That was our only time that did you compete? You didn't, did you?
No, because I was the behind the scenes guy on that one.
See, so I never even saw you. And that was early. That was 2016.
Yeah, you were full beard guy at that point.
I was full beard styled stash, and that was still like 16 was like it was my third year in, but it was like the first year like I was really picking up any steam doing any competition stuff. And
you can't really pick steam up, Aaron. It's like a gas.
Shut up. You know what I mean? Like I had any momentum doing any competitive, and I was at least kind of sort of comfortable being on stage. Like my first couple of years, it was a disaster of me being on stage. But then like the third year, I can at least be up there without, having a full on panic attack. So I don't remember even seeing you, but that would have been it. That would have been the only time that we crossed paths in the beard world before 2017.
Yeah. And so anyways, I got the luxury of going to the World and Beard, or the 2017 World and Beard Mustache Championships in Austin, Texas. Was not going to go, and literally at the last second, I got my friend Adam Cosgrove got me hooked up with the American Mustache Institute and Can You Handlebar, and they teamed up and they sent me there to cover the event, and that's how I got there. And like, that's when my life completely changed. Like I got there and I felt like such a fish out of water. I didn't know anyone.
But everybody knew you because you were the beardcaster.
But that was the thing, is like, as I said, I didn't know like people were listening to me. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So I was like, holy crap, that's the beardcaster. That's how I felt when I saw you.
But I mean, I did know a few people. I knew like, a few RVA guys, and I mean, these are people that I had interviewed on the show before and everything. And so I went to this competition, just like I said, pretty much not really knowing people very well, and was kind of there more to like just mingle with people and get to know people and kind of connect with people. And, that's pretty much
a little bit of content or something.
Yeah. Or, seed relationships for future, knowing that they were going to be doing something in the future that needed to be covered under the Beardcaster. And so anyways, getting to the point of where Aaron and I meet, I still remember like us, like always like that whole weekend, like we'd be in the venue wherever. And I always felt like we were giving each other stank eyes so bad.
Oh yeah. Bad.
And
I was in competition mode. I didn't feel like talking to anybody.
And that was the thing, is like every time I'd see him, I'm like, wow, what a fucking dickhead.
That's wow. No way.
Yeah, really? Dude, I went there. Yep. Oh yeah. I'm like, dude, he looks like a fucking jerk.
That's awesome. That means a lot to me.
Well, there you go, man. You really had the resting bitch face that whole entire weekend.
Dude, I was like, I don't even understand. Like, I was so much in the zone that whole weekend. I wanted it so freaking bad.
You went all the way to Texas to go to AutoZone?
I hate you. Get in the zone, baby. AutoZone.
Yeah, that's right. AutoZone.com.
with lasers.
It's our commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I was just like, and then you were super intimidating because I'm like, dude, this guy's got a huge beard. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. Like, I'm like, I have no like anything to stand upon against any of these guys in the goatee category, like the partial category, like nothing. And I remember getting up on stage.
Same way I felt about you. Like I was thinking like, I don't know, like you had this giant blonde beard or goatee, and it was, I don't know. I thought you were going to get me. And Natalie and I had even talked about that before, because she was like scoping out competition for me before we went. She was like, this guy, I was like, yeah, his color is really, really good. And in my eyes, my goatee wasn't that big. You know, like I thought yours was bigger than mine, but it's just like perspective, I guess, because I just see mine all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, kind of like wieners.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing like wieners. It's like, look at it. That's so big.
I know.
But it's like, really, it's like not, I don't know. Anyway.
But I remember walking out on stage, and I still remember it like, I remember it like clear as day. Like I remember Robin Powell she was the stage like wrangler, and she was just so sweet. Like that was when I fell in love with her. Like she was just so nice, so kind. And I was back there with Amy and Jody were back there too. And I was like towards the very end, and I just remember being back there with them and like just so nervous. And they're like, yeah, go. You're going to do great. You're going to do great. And I remember going out on stage.
And you came out with your microphone.
Came out with my microphone.
God, that was so cool.
I know. And so then I walk up and Jimmy's up there and he's doing the interviews of everyone. And, you know, I remember sticking my microphone up to Jimmy and like, you know, trying to like, and this episode is out there where I have the audio from all of this.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm recording all of this as I'm going out there. And I remember talking to Scott Miller back there like that. I mean, he was just so flashy and extravagant.
Yeah, dude, Scott Miller's like, awesome.
Yeah. And I just remember like standing up on that riser with everyone going, wow, what the heck am I even doing up here? And, you know, I remember walking off and like we were backstage and blah, blah, blah. And as the evening's going on and, you know, I'm just kind of getting engrossed in the evening, feeling more comfortable and everything. And then, you know, they call up the goatee category or did they just do it right after?
They did it right away. So, yeah. So we all went on stage and then they stared at everybody. And then, you know, the top three stayed or whatever. And then everyone else wandered off. And yeah, that whole thing.
And then Aaron wins. And I just remember.
Holy crap.
Yeah. I just remember, and I was telling this story to someone last night about how I remember being backstage because I was waiting for everyone to come off. And I remember you and Natalie, like Natalie was like waiting for you and you get in the back and Natalie was just so excited. Like
she was pumped. Like you can listen to, there's audio of, you know, like I think Chris has it on. Well, I don't even know if Beards and Reviews still a YouTube page. I think it's gone. Is it still up?
It should be still up.
I think I looked for it the other day and it was gone, but maybe I don't know. Anyway, there was a video and like you saw it was like he did like the whole goatee category and you hear it when they say my name, you can hear like this loud, high pitch ass scream. And it was Natalie. Like you can hear her over everybody. And it was, I don't know, it was a really, really cool moment. And yeah, I remember getting off stage and you were there with your microphone and I had no idea what to say. Not a freaking clue. And you actually just pretty much just interviewed Natalie because I was just like,
yeah. He was in such shock and Natalie was just so excited. And like but that was like the moment that everything just like, that was when we connected. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk.
When you stopped thinking I was a dickhead?
No, I was just genuinely excited for you. Like it was
why do you feel like you were so excited that I won?
I don't know. Like I just don't know. Like I said, as the whole couple days of just seeing you around and like I said, looking at you the way I was, it was just like maybe once I got the whole perspective of being out on that stage with everyone and just like feeling so insignificant, like I just saw how confident you were the whole entire time and the way you carried yourself. Like I said, you had that resting bitch face. Like you had that, my shit don't stink. Stay away from me. I'm the king shit here.
I wonder where that went. That went away. I need to get that back.
I don't think so, because that was a scary look.
I liked it.
Your bubbliness is just so attractive now.
I don't know. I don't like it. I need to bring back the resting bitch face. Like, I remember, like, every time I ever got ready for a comp, like, it was just like, I remember a bunch of times, like, I would just do, and people would try to talk to me, and I could hear people, like, not even Worlds, but in that whole time frame of 2017 goatee lead up to Worlds, like, I don't know what was going on. It was just like, I was so much in the zone, and every competition, I just was so much. Shut up. I was so focused on Austin all year long, and the more I won, the more I was just like, I mean, maybe I could do good in Austin, and I don't know. Like, people would try to talk to me in lines at competitions and stuff, and I just wasn't having it. Like, I told Natalie, I don't even know like how this even come up, but I remember probably RVA. I would take some pictures and stuff. And I was like, I just felt like when I was like taking pictures in that time frame, like I felt like my eyes were burning. Like, I don't know, like it was like literally
death glare you were giving at me the whole time.
That's how, I don't know. It was just something like, I just felt like I was so focused that my eyes burned, if that makes any sense. And I don't know why. I don't know what was going on. Why I was just so determined. Actually, I know why I was so determined that year, because I had quit drinking and my mom had passed away, and I was dedicating that whole year to trying to live my life, like she was watching me, and I just wanted to do so good, so bad that whole year. Like nothing else mattered in my entire life was to win that year. And I did. Like that year was, in my whole bearding career was incredible. I think I did 20 competitions, and I had like 18 first place trophies. Like that year was nuts. And then we led up to Worlds. And I remember being backstage at Worlds, and I was first one there. I was first one in the dressing room. I was waiting for it to get unlocked. I came in. I've got all the pictures in my phone under a category, and it was the whole day. Like I came in, I got ready, and I sat by myself. People kept trying to talk to me, and I just wasn't having it. And I just prepared myself. Literally, I was the first one there, and I was the last person to get lined up. There was no in between hanging out. I was the last person to come get in line. And the first person I saw besides Paul Roof when I came out there was freaking Patrick Dawson. I'd never interacted with Patrick Dawson. I never I think I saw like one picture of him online. Like he doesn't do social media really. So it wasn't like Patrick Dawson wasn't like shoving himself down everybody's throat like I was. And everybody had seen me. I'd been, Instagramming like crazy. But Patrick Dawson, he was just kind of behind the scenes, and he was winning, getting second place at Worlds and stuff like that. And I came out and I was like, oh my gosh, are you freaking kidding me? Like I'm looking at all these dudes. I'm like, maybe like I might be able to beat these dudes. And then I run into Patrick Dawson, and I remember taking a selfie with him and texting Natalie. I was like, well, this isn't going to end well. And then, the story of 2017 Worlds is written as it is. And I barely beat him, but I beat him, and he's beat me every single time since then. But I got him in 17, and I'm hoping I get him this year. That's even if I get third and he gets fourth, I will take that as a win. I just want to beat Patrick Dawson again. Like he's one of the best dudes I've met in this community. Super, super nice and really humble about winning, but like, I just want to beat him again so bad. I'm so tired of losing to Patrick Dawson.
But that's like me too. Like my goal for my career is to beat you. Like
you'll do it. It's coming. Like your beard. Like I shouldn't have told you to stop cutting your mustache and like stuff because like the shit looks good.
But
like
the thing is like you honestly did a lot to like shape it to the way it is now and really get me to go from. At that point I was on a decline. Like I started off strong the first few years I did it. And then at that time, like I was on a decline, and that's why I was surprised I got 7th place. But, then you were like, well, you need to start like not trimming underneath. You need to let your mustache grow and
bring it back
years. More. Yeah. And then next thing I know, like within the next couple of years, like, bam, I'm like, I made my ascent back up again.
It looks good now.
I'm very happy with the way it looks now, but
I honestly think you can get me now. Like, I don't know, like mine got longer and I've cut inches off. I'm back down to 24 inches. I think I had gotten up to like 27 and it's thin at the end, but it's like, if I cut it back, like Natalie and I've talked about it a bunch. If I would cut it back to like 18, it would probably look a lot better, but then I would be back at 18. That's where I was when I won Worlds. My beard was 18 inches long.
Well, I was talking to someone last night about this too, and I said what I was telling him was, yeah, my goal is to beat Aaron. And then he was talking about how he was in Antwerp, and I'm like, dude, if I would have been in Antwerp, I know I would have.
You'd have beaten me. They didn't care about big beards over there, 100%. I don't know, like nothing against Patrick, but I don't know how Patrick placed because they did not like the big beards. I remember specifically hearing two Antwerp dudes talking, and they said. And basically, and I quote, like, I don't understand the Americans and all their big beards. Like they didn't get it. Like they're like, why do all these Americans have big beards? Why are they doing this? Like, why? Because Americans like bigger is better. I mean, that's just kind of like,
that's Texas.
I know, but I mean, that's America too. I mean, really, I mean, like that's, our cars are bigger. Like everything that we do in the United States is bigger, and
wieners.
Exactly. Everybody knows that, but they didn't really care for us over there. It was very, very apparent. They did not care for us. Like I think like the hosting club was pretty cool, and like they were in the beard community and they knew, we were all coming and they were nice, but I don't know, man. It just felt like they didn't like us over there. And I think I felt it, and they didn't like the Americans' big beards straight up. And all the American goatee people have big beards, and most, but in that category. And
Aaron, straight up now, tell me, do you really want to love me forever?
Oh.
Or are you just a hit and run?
Are you just a hit and run? What are you doing?
Well, we went off on a tangent that
we did. What just happened?
Yeah. So we got to, all right. So as we're recording this right now, I am now declaring, because this is now going to be a 2-part episode. And what we are going to do is we're going to continue the story up until where we are currently. And then we are going to do a bonus episode with all the questions that everyone submitted. So we're going to get an episode 200 and 201 out of this.
Why can't it just be a long episode?
Because
you don't want to make a 2-hour episode?
No, I could do that, but we can only record for so long on this way.
I know Beard Mob, they go like 3 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, but anyways, I'm still splitting it up into 2. So,
well, yeah, do whatever you want. This is your show. This is an episode of the Beardcaster. This isn't even talking beards. So,
but that is all good information that we just discussed, because it does talk a lot about the dynamic between you and I and how we kind of both look at things and whatever when it comes to our category and each other.
Mm-hmm.
But so we get off the stage. I talked to Natalie. You're all like, oh my God, in shock and stuff. And that was it. We went off on our own ways. And, as this was all going on, I was just kind of interviewing people, blah, 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 just talking to people, this and that. And comes up, it's Sunday night, and everyone's going out to watch the Bats on the bridge.
The Bats.
Sunday
night. I almost didn't go to the Bats. Imagine that. Imagine if I wouldn't have went down to the Bats. That was, it's just kind of crazy if you really think about like the whole timeline of that whole series of events. Everything had to line up perfectly, and it did. Like, you almost didn't go to Worlds.
Yeah.
And if my deal with Honest Amish wouldn't have come through, I probably still would have went. It just, I don't know how it would have went, but, and then like, I almost didn't go to the Bats, but then I did. And then the only reason I ended up on top of the Bats is because they were all pooping on us, and we didn't know to not be down low. We didn't know to be up high because no one told us that. So we were down underneath the bridge, and then we were getting crapped on. So then we like start running to get up on top of the bridge where everybody else is. We're like, what? This is a great view down here where all the Bats are. We can look at them. And that's why everybody's on top of the bridge, because we're getting pooped on. And then that's where we ran into you. You were interviewing some people.
Yeah, so I specifically remember I had my recorder and I was I feel bad that I can't remember exactly who was there. I was down there with Sparks and Wags and Dave Gears and a couple other people, but I kind of split off from them, and
you were interviewing somebody.
Well, yeah, I was just kind of talking to some guys, and then there were two girls that were there by themselves, and so I was talking to one of these guys, and they turn around and are like, "What are you recording?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I do a podcast all about precious moments, and we talk about your favorite precious moments figurines." And these girls were just like dumbfounded, like, "What?" So then I remember starting to talk to this guy. I'm like, "Yeah, and you know, when I was 13 years old, my mom bought me this one precious moments figurine that I will to this day never forget." And I just remember like going off like that, and these girls were just like, "What is going on?" And then, you know, we let them in on the gig, and then we were explaining to them like the whole entire weekend of all the stuff that had happened. And the night was getting over and done and everything. And I just started walking, and as I'm walking, I see like you were across the street, I believe, right?
No, I walked up behind you.
Oh, yeah. So
you were interviewing those two girls and I guess that guy or whatever when I first saw you. And I think I just harassed you for a second and then we kind of wandered on. And then you came back. We were standing there and then you came back. And then I think we just started talking. I didn't think so that was the whole thing. I didn't think you were actually recording. I thought you were just like joking around. But you were recording.
Yeah, so I was recording, and if you guys want to hear this, it is what episode is it again? Episode
number 48 of the Beardcaster. It is the best episode ever recorded ever.
Yeah, so
there's still probably so much content from that Austin trip that has never seen the light of day.
No, that is absolutely true. And every interview I ever did, there's so much more to it than what I just put out. Like I have tons and tons, and you know, and maybe someday when I have the time, I'll put out little snippets of stuff here and there. But yeah, so I went up to Aaron. I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Congratulations." And like, I felt like super obnoxious. And then
I felt super obnoxious as well.
And that was the thing is like, we both like totally fed off of each other's vibe. And then next thing it was off to the races and we're like going down the street.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy because like everybody that was with us, we probably had like 5 or 6 people with us total. And like everybody was like laughing, like, and it was just them laughing was making me want to be more obnoxious and ridiculous.
Same with us. And then next thing you know, we're yelling at cars going down the road and cars are
fire truck.
Yep. The dog.
Yeah, the dog with the green lights all over it.
that was decorated to celebrate your win.
Celebrate me. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it just turned into this whole crazy thing. And then next thing you know, we get into a car and that was it. Gone.
That was the saddest thing when it was over. You just got in the car and drove off. I was not done. Like we could have walked around downtown Austin for another hour and recorded so much more obnoxious stuff. Like I was not done. And then you just left me. I was like, well, this sucks. I can walk back to the car now.
Yeah. So then I think it was like probably less than a week later, we start messaging each other and exchange phone numbers. And then we're like inseparable via text message. And then we start talking on the phone. And I don't like, we just, that's kind of it. That's how it started. And then it's just like, it has not stopped. It's only gotten more intense over time.
Then when like all the naked pictures you send to me all the time and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I obviously I send them back, but I mean, I just don't understand like why you even started doing it. But I mean, I like it.
I'm really handsome. So
you are. And I appreciate it, but I don't know. I thought that was just kind of the weirdest part of our whole relationship when all the nude pictures started.
Yeah, but true.
But we're there. So, I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah. So then as this happens, then it just kind of rolls into, I then did a proper interview with you on the show, which is episode 48.
Right.
We talked to each other, and then pinned at the end of that episode is the bridge discussion that we had. So that's on there too. And so if you want to hear all that, you can go episode 48, the Beardcaster, or go to Talking Beards. That's where you'll find it. But yeah, so I just continued doing the podcast. And then, up comes the following year. And I still was thinking about, this idea of making a talk show. And at that time, by that point, I know you and I had talked, and you had got asked to MC an event. And I specifically remember this phone call, and you're like, dude, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm like, yeah, you can. I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity for you. I'm like, you're very outgoing. I'm like, you got such a great personality. I'm like, you need to be the guy up there commanding a crowd. And I just remember, and you were just like, you had such doubts. You were just so like, you had no confidence whatsoever. And I'm like trying to explain to you, I'm like, that's exactly how I felt when I started. And I'm like, but now it's like, you get up there, you get to a point, at least for me, where you get up there and the crowd doesn't exist. It's just you're up there and you're talking and you're just communicating with the either the contestants, the judges, the crowd, and it's like, you're in a different place, a different world.
So one thing that I do is I try to find like one person and I talk to them a bunch. That's what I've done. I've emceed 3 events, but the first one was just a complete blur. Nobody was there. And that was the one you were talking about. And then I've done 2 real ones. And both times I've just like found that person that I was like, all right, well, you're getting picked on. And I didn't even know the person either time.
Yeah. So, but my whole thing is just to trying to build the confidence in you that was something you could do. And even at this point, I never even really had the thought of like, hey, let's get together and do some stuff on the show. And then in the meantime, I had gotten hooked up with this guy, Chris Odom, who is based out of Austin, Texas, who was doing videos and stuff. And I'm like, this was something that, doing the concept of a news show was like really the idea I wanted. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, what we do is such a visual thing. I'm like, we do a podcast, which is audio only. And you have to either be very descriptive of what you're talking about. And if you're interviewing someone who's not a good interview, it makes it difficult. So it's like trying to play theater of the mind. And if I can't translate something well and get someone to think about what I'm talking about and being in the moment, then it's just a conversation. So I'm like, maybe I need to find someone that does really good videos. And
you found him. I thought you and Chris were absolutely a match made in heaven because, he was doing the Beards and Review stuff. And I really liked the Beards and Review stuff. I remember right after Worlds, I was like, Beard of the Week. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. I thought it was like the coolest thing. And, and then like the Beardcaster stuff, I was like, this is it. Like,
you made it.
Yeah, Chris and Scott this is going to be the most amazing thing. I remember you saying like, yeah, I've been having these conversations with Chris and like, yeah, I loved it. I thought it was perfect.
So I had set up, I'm like, Chris, all right, so I'm coming for Come and Shave at 12. I want to get together with you and let's meet. So he picked me up from the airport and we went into downtown Austin. We went to the Chili, what the heck was it called? The Chili
Factory.
No. Gosh darn it.
The chili store.
Something like that, yeah.
Y'all went and ate chili.
We ate chili. And I had Frito pie. It was really good. And so I was like, hey, dude, I'm like, this is my idea. I'm like, I want to do a talk show that is like live. I want to do it like, because this is 2018. And like, StreamYard's not around. There wasn't a lot of shows that were doing streaming. The streaming thing was still kind of new, and or it was just like straight up like YouTube Live or Facebook Live, and it was just Facebook Live was just one person. It was just real.
You couldn't do
stiff.
2 on and then Chris was huge into YouTube. Like that was his thing. Like he was really, really, really good with the YouTube video stuff.
And he was using this software called OBS, which basically you could take in multiple feeds and then make it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been dreaming. I'm like, to be able to do a live talk show newscast where we can have multiple people in, we can bring guests in. Oh my God, different segment. I'm like, this is it. I'm like, so we're like, all right, we're going to start doing this. And I believe that, I was just like, but we need another person. I'm like, I want to get someone else that I feel like can have personality that's going to be good at this and everything. And I'm like, it has to be Aaron. Like, it just has to be Aaron.
I don't understand why.
And I don't know, did we even approach you that weekend about it, or was it like weeks after?
No, it wasn't. So I knew because you and I hung out that weekend in Austin, and I think I knew you and Chris had a conversation, and you told me y'all did, but I wasn't really, I was not at all involved at that point in time. I don't think. Maybe it was kind of sort of an idea, but it was like you and Chris were going to do this thing. And then that's where it was like, it wasn't called Talking Beards at that point or anything. Like, it was just like, we're going to do this thing. And then that was it. Like, you were going to do, what was it? You were going to do like an episode of the Beardcaster and then do a Beards in Review and back and forth or something like that. That was like one of the original ideas, something like that. And then y'all asked me later on, and I had no idea why. Didn't make sense to me.
So I don't know how the name came. I can't remember the name.
I came up with it, I do believe. So we were all brainstorming about it. I went back and tried to find this freaking text message conversation because I know we had it, and I don't know where it is. I don't know if we had it on Facebook and it got deleted or whatever. But I remember you, me, and Chris were brainstorming the idea because like we talked about like some like talking goats and like all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't remember everything that got brainstormed, but I could be wrong, but I feel like maybe Beards Talking or something was like, what about Talking Beards? And then
that I remember, Beards Talking. I remember that one.
The Beards Talk and Beard Talk, and like, it was like, that was, maybe we even looked at like social media stuff and was like, what's even available? Maybe it went that far.
I think that actually, now that we talk about it, I think it kind of was like reversed engineered that way.
I think because we were like, what are we going to, we have beards and we're going to do a talk show. And it's like, what's available? And then we kind of started looking around, I think.
That to me sounds very familiar.
Because I remember I was laying in bed and it was just, we were chilling, and I remember that's when it came up, because that's when I made like the Twitter account, and then we ended up with 2 Twitters, and we still do. And like Instagram, I think Facebook, it was available, and then it was like, oh, there's a Talking Beards Instagram. I was like, you freaking one person that you've never even posted on the page. So we had to do Talking_Beards. Not that still irks me, but you know, that one stupid person.
Yes.
Anyway, but so that's where that came up.
So then the 3 of us started doing this show, and we
didn't even start doing the show till like September.
Yeah, it was a while.
We talked about this thing for like 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did our first episode in September. And I was just like, all right, you know what? I'm like, it was rough, of course, just as like I said, you go back to episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Beardcaster, it's rough. But it was like the start of like, this is what this is going to now develop into. This is because that was my vision from the get-go. Like because to me, it was like, I felt like it was more fulfilling, and it was actually easier. That was another thing too, is like, I'm like, this would be much easier for me because of all the amount of work that I was already doing for just the podcast. I'm like, this will just be super easy. And so that's kind of like, we started doing episodes, and it was a struggle.
Dude, it was definitely a struggle. You go back and listen to the first few episodes. I don't even know where they're at, but we were the kings of technical difficulties for the first dozen episodes or something. Yeah. It was like always something. And once we got it figured out, we started doing better. But I remember, dude, it was rough. I remember the very, very, very first episode that I've never even got to listen to because YouTube pulled it down, and I don't even think it exists in the world anymore, was because I played that Banan song. Remember? It was like, this is a Banan. This is a Banan on Instagram, because freaking Come On Brett showed it to me at work, and I thought it was super funny. And I was like, hey guys, check this thing out that, I learned at work, and I played it, and then YouTube freaking pulled down our stream or whatever, and it disappeared. But that was the pilot episode, because we had Tyler Hill on, because we're like, we can bring people in, right? Let's try it. And then we
remember that, yeah.
And Tyler Hill was like watching Sherlock Holmes or some crap.
Yeah, he was laying in bed.
Yeah, I'm Tyler Hill.
Slug. I'm a slug.
Oh, check me out. He probably even still had a mustache back then. And yeah, so that was our first episode, and it was all right. Like I think 99% of it, I'm just sitting there going, because back then the episodes, like we didn't stay on the screen like this. It was like whoever was talking got the full screen, and then if you're talking, then you were the full screen. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like never on there because I didn't have anything to contribute to the conversation ever. And I don't know, that changed. But that was like the first few episodes. And then, like I said, every episode was just technical difficulty after technical difficulty. And the best technical difficulty ever in Talking Beards history was when Chris's computer started playing that cartoon when I was in New Jersey.
Yeah.
How was that even happening?
We couldn't stop it. We didn't know where it was coming from.
Weren't we talking over it though?
Yeah, and then we're like,
our audio was working, but it was just, I don't even know what the cartoon was.
It was like some bear. I remember.
I know, like, what is happening? What is this? And Chris, like, I don't know how to make it stop. That was awesome.
Yeah. So technical difficulty. I mean, we still continued on regardless of technical difficulties and all this other stuff. And, we did it. We made it through it. And as time went on, like, we were getting frustrated with OBS, and I'm like, we got to figure out a different thing. So we discovered StreamYard.
You probably found StreamYard through a podcast, didn't you?
I did. I still listen to podcasts all about podcasting. Like that is like what my main thing is, and that's all I care about is listening, because I just want to continue
to get better.
Skill. Yeah. And so we started doing that. And at the same time, Chris was starting to, they were getting ready to sell their house. They were moving from Austin to
Savannah.
And he made the move and he started a new job, and like he was having a rough time like making time to do the show. And of course we're just like, also, you really need to focus on your family too, because he's got 963 kids and backpacks and
all those
stuff.
Backpacks he had to take care of.
I know. I mean, that's a full-time job just to pay for all those.
I know.
And so it just kind of like, we kind of parted ways at that point, because we just knew it was going to be tough for him, and we didn't want to make any more, stress in his life. And,
and I'm sure trying to do the show was extremely stressful at that point in time, and was like, oh, just don't worry about the show. Don't worry about it. And that's where we ended up with Chris. And then we found StreamYard. We tried OBS when it was just you and me at first, right?
Yeah. And it was
we couldn't figure that crap out. We're like, wow, Chris was really good with this stuff, because I don't even know what's going on. Like, I think we did like one episode with the OBS with you and me, and it was.
I was like, nope, never again.
We got to figure something else out here.
Yeah, so we discovered StreamYard, and that just kind of like completely changed the whole entire thing. And
StreamYard.com.
Yep. And if you're interested in getting a StreamYard account, please message us. We have an affiliate link that will help you out and help us out. So, but yeah, so we started doing that, and then next thing you know, it's just like it was becoming really easy, and it was like, we're getting.
And that was the whole thing the whole time. We wanted something that was not a lot of work, that was going to be easy, because the Beardcaster was, like you've said, dude, it was a ton of work for you. You were staying up all hours of the night. You were tired at work. You were putting all this time and effort into the Beardcaster, and you're like, I just want to do this thing. I like doing this thing, but I don't want to spend my whole life doing this one thing. So I want something that's going to be easy. I remember that was part of the initial talk up conversations. You were like, I want to do something easy. And then that's what this was supposed to be.
Because it was more enjoyable. And what I did with the podcast is I kind of morphed what I was doing with the Beardcaster, and then I would just take the audio from the Talking Beard show and I would repurpose it, make it into a podcast, polish it up, and then release that. So then as people look at our episodes, they'll see two numbers, and one will be where the actual Talking Beards show episode, and then the second number is what episode of the Beardcaster it is.
Because at the very beginning of Talking Beards, you were still trying to do some Beardcaster episodes in between.
Yeah.
Because initially this wasn't the idea. I don't think Talking Beards was supposed to take over the Beardcaster. It was Talking Beards was going to be like a supplement to the Beardcaster.
Yeah.
You were still going to do Beardcasters, and then this episode was going to be the Beardcaster, and this episode was going to be the Beardcaster with Talking Beards, and then back and forth. And that was the initial idea, and that's not what has happened.
Yeah. So as time has gone on, you guys have seen where we've grown, and and throughout the past year, going through the pandemic and everything, we utilize StreamYard and our streaming knowledge to be able to do some really cool stuff. And, being one of the first groups to be able to throw an online competition, teaming up with the FHL, like that was a huge deal. And being able to use StreamYard and to get, keeping people together and in touch and giving them some sort of like regularity to their life that they had before COVID and the lockdown and everything was our whole purpose of what Talking Beards turned into last year.
We just wanted to keep plugging along and trying to keep whatever bit of the community together through the struggles of 2020 together. Yeah. Like we just wanted to keep the community going as best as we could. We wanted to help. Obviously we weren't going to keep it going, but we wanted to contribute our part to, making sure it was still as intact as possible once it was all over.
Yeah. So as the pandemic went on, we kept doing our stuff, and, we get into the end of last year, into the beginning of this year, and I just got into a funk with everything and was just like, I did not have any desire to do the show. I did not have any, I was just either burned out or just needed something different. And my enthusiasm level just went downhill. And, a lot of people saw it, got a lot of comments about it. And I have been struggling through all of this and, just trying to get everything going. And, so we've mixed the show up a little bit over the past couple months. We've changed some different things, and some things have worked, some things haven't, but it's been kind of giving me a new perspective, and it's getting me excited again. And, but then it's still just, I still was not feeling it. I just felt like something's been missing. And, Aaron's just been wonderful. And, we talk all the time, and always just how you feeling? What's going on? What can I help you with? Just really concerned and a good friend. And the other night we start having this text conversation really late. And I pretty much just tell him, I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, and I was
super nervous.
This is literally finger up to ear breaking news. This is absolutely. That no one knows about, because we just 2 days ago, this conversation happened. And I'm like, dude, I just don't feel it anymore. I'm like, I feel like Tuesday nights are more of a hindrance in my life right now than they are fun or anything.
Yep.
And, he's just like, what are you quitting? You quitting? And I'm like, no, I'm not quitting. I said, I think we're doing the right things by, changing it up a little bit to kind of get me interested again. And I said, but I don't know what it is, man. I just feel like I'm done. I just don't know. I just don't think I don't know. And I know I left him kind of on a cliff where he didn't know. And then I fell asleep and wasn't able to respond back to him. And
I was like, well, I guess this guy's asleep now.
Yeah. Yeah. So then yesterday happened, and yesterday I got reminded of a lot of things, and I have been so disconnected with the beard community in the world over the past year.
Absolutely. You haven't really gone and done much of anything.
Yeah.
It's work and go home and hang out with your family. That's been it.
And, I get asked to MC this event for the Beard Mob, West Virginia. And, I love MCing stuff, and
it's what you're made to do, I think.
Who knows? But I was really not feeling it. I was I wanted to go. I wanted to do it because I'm just I like doing this. So I'm just going to see what happens. And, having these conversations with Aaron and then my mom, and just like, I'm not excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I get there, and, it's a small event, and there's some people there I know and a lot of people I don't know.
But they all knew you.
Apparently. And so I start talking to people, and we get the event rolling, and it was, like I said, a small comp. There weren't a lot of people there. There weren't a lot of competitors, but each person that came up that I called up, I tried to get to know a little bit more about them, like how they got involved in this, how long they've been doing it, how they heard about bearding, just the general
so you just
questions.
Interviewed like 35 people.
Probably pretty much like small little things, and just tried to get to the bottom of like why they're there. And as I start talking to people, I keep hearing, well, this is my first competition. This is the first time I've done anything, or I just got into it a year ago when COVID started, and this is my first chance to come out and compete. Or I did your guys' online competitions, and now this is my first real one.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept hearing that over and over again. And I was just like, wow, I'm like, there is something to this. Like we have been connecting with the people. We have been, doing things that make a difference, even though I know we do things that make a difference. And that's kind of the whole purpose of the show too, is to promote the community and all the things that we're doing. But I feel like we're a mouth for that sometimes, but like, I'm not listening to the words coming out of that mouth.
Right. And it's crazy when you go to these events and then you actually see like people actually do give a crap about what we're saying. Like it's usually, it doesn't really feel like it. It's like we just do our show on Tuesday and it's just a thing we do, but some people actually super care. And that, I don't know, that means a lot to me when I go to these events and people come up to me and like we both talked about that guy, I think I don't know exactly where he's from. He's from up north somewhere, but he came to Gatlinburg and he was like, yeah, the only reason I'm here is because, Talking Beards was talking about this competition. And this is literally my second competition and I can't wait to do more. And he came to the West Virginia competition because we were talking about it.
Scott Hitchcock. And he's a magician guy, like just really good with the crowd. I mean, he ended up winning Best in Show. I mean, he was definitely a showman, and that was really cool. But talking to him after the event was just like, you guys really kind of guided me to this. And, he's like, I love it. This is great. And, just to sit down and talk with all of these people like at the event and just see how happy people were, and just the ability to be at an event again, and the ability to spread the community and, have conversations and, try to help people either, help them with their club, help them work on their beard better. I had a bunch of guys come up, I got this, how do I, it was like,
I like helping those questions.
Yeah. And I made an announcement to the whole, like it was a small, intimate group that I could just, I could talk to these people and, say like things like, if you need help, we're the experts of this. We've been competing for years, like myself, Israel, and, and the other guys there, the Mad Viking guys, Jason and Jason. I mean, they've been involved in the community. The Jasons. They've been involved in the community for a long time, and they've seen it. They've been there. They've done it. They know how shit works. And I was offering them, like, if you guys want to know something about how to do something or something with your beard, come talk to us. And people were coming up and talking and asking questions. And it was such a nice feeling. I texted Aaron. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best experience I think I've ever had.
You have no idea how happy that made me when you texted me that. I was so nervous. I was like, Scott, he doesn't even really want to go up there. I was like, I just hope he goes. I hope he don't talk himself out of not going. And then you were there. I was like, all right, he's there. And then like, I knew that FHL was messing up. I was like, oh my gosh, I just wish I was up there and I could like helped with something. And I'm 9 hours away. And then I'm texting you, but I didn't even think about it being FHL. So obviously you're using your phone. And I was like, I don't know how it's going. And I remember I texted Corey. I was like, just send me some videos of Scott. like, I just want to see how he's doing. I just want to see how it's going. And then obviously he's utilizing his phone too. So I'm just like, I'm just so in the dark the whole time. And I hate it. I was like, I wish all these events were live, like live stream. Every single one of these events is like, I wanted to be there so freaking bad. Like but it just wasn't in the cards. And I just needed to know what was going on. I was going crazy waiting for this event. And then you're like, you text me, you're like, it went really good. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I've just been like waiting for something all day long. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And it went good. So
yeah. And I literally, like, I feel like I got kicked in the ass and got reset, and like,
dude, that's awesome.
And just coming into today, like, usually on Sundays and stuff, we don't do anything, but today was like, I was so excited to be like, oh my God, I can't wait to sit down and record this. And
yeah, I was shocked. Like, I texted you this morning and I was like, hey, how's it going? You're like, you ready to do the show today? I'm like, I guess we're doing the show today. All right, that's cool. And I was all excited. Like,
and I mean,
it's gonna be one of those deals like, hey, you know what's you're about to release episode 201. We should really record 200. But here it is. We're doing it.
Yeah. And like I said, yesterday was, I needed that whole experience. So thank you, Corey, for asking me to do that. I really, 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 and thank you, Aaron, for not doing it.
Hey, no problem. Anything for you, Scott.
Yeah. But it definitely just connecting with all those people down there, with the Beard Mob West Virginia people, Beard Mob Indiana, Beard Mob Pennsylvania, Mad Viking, all the different people that were there that I talked to just really just reminded me why I do this. And I, to bring this all completely full circle, like, I am so thankful for doing this podcast, because and this could get into part 2 of this, but it's done so much for my life. It's changed so much. It's influenced so much. My life is completely changed because of this podcast in so many wonderful and great ways. So,
and I can definitely echo that same thing. Like, I don't know. Like we've talked about.
I can definitely echo that same thing.
You're an idiot. But like, I don't know where I would be without this podcast. Like, I know I definitely wouldn't have this crazy setup in the side of my bonus room. I would be absolutely for sure. Like, this corner of the room, like, it was just here. Like, it was like the most. It's weird because I think about that sometimes when I'm in here. Like, this corner of the room was not used at all. Like, there was some like Aquaman stuff on this shelf, but it was just because our whole house is just full of Aquaman. Our whole house is just full of, we collect everything. And this part of the room was kind of behind the couch, and no one even, I never even really looked at it or paid any attention to it. And now I feel like this corner of the house is like the most important, like, well-known part of the whole house. And I don't know, it's just weird for me to think about that sometimes, because like this corner was just so insignificant, and now it's the most important thing in the whole house to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I appreciate doing this podcast with you and what you've done for me, and you've gotten me out of my shell. I've never really been a big talker or anything like that. I've never been able to do that. And now, like, now it's just like, I don't even shut up. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I remember like my dad in his last, few months, he was staying with my sister, and, she would make him watch this, and me and my dad never been super close, but I remember like him saying like he couldn't believe that I was doing a talk show and I was talking so much, because I was so much like him. Like, my dad never talked. Like, I would go all weekend and like we would say like 2 words to each other, and now it's like I had so much of that in me. Like, I wouldn't say anything. Like, I didn't have anything to say, so I wouldn't say it. Now it's like I've just opened this other thing in me that I didn't even know existed. And it's 100% because of you, and our paths crossing in Austin has just sent me down such a strange path that I never imagined in a million years that I would ever be here. Like, this wasn't supposed to happen. and it's happening, and it feels right, and I like it, and I can't wait to continue doing this. And even if Talking Beards ends at some point in our lives, I'd like, I probably will keep doing something. Like, I don't know. It's just, doing this just means so much to me, and I like doing it so much. And I don't know. It's weird that this has happened, and it's just you never know. You never know what'll happen in your life until it actually happens, I guess. And I don't know. Just super crazy and cool that this has happened, and we're doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is we don't know what is going to happen to us or for us. I mean, I think it's going to be more what's going to happen for us over the next year, because I think, because we've stayed on path and because we've continued to go and grow and be, the one show, now there's a lot of other shows out there, that are heavily beard influenced, and
we try to help them all out. That's never been the thing. We've never been like, well, we need to compete against all these shows. We kind of talked about that the whole time. Like, let's help all these shows out. Let's let them all be the best they can be. And
and that's always been the thing, is like, hey, how can we help you be better? What can we, because in my opinion, everyone has a chance to shine, because everyone has a voice. Everyone has something to say. So let me help them get to a point where they can do that. So I've always been an extreme supporter of other shows in the same genre. Some of them, like I said, haven't lasted, they've kind of fizzled out. Others are continuing on, and like I said, more power to them. There's billions of people on the planet. If you can, not everyone's going to like our show, but might like your show or whatever. And that's totally cool. I don't really care. Like, we have our people that watch us. We have people that discover us. We're doing what we can do to do what we want to do and try to improve the bearding community. That's our whole thing. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, that's the whole goal of Talking Beards, is, to try to increase the information about what's going on in the bearding community.
With that being said, remember back in the day when I was asking you questions? One of the questions that I did have on here was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And then me celebrating you asking me this question. And then the second part to that where do you think Talking Beards will be in 5 years?
I believe in 5 years that we will be doing some sort of something based off of this, but something different.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I see it being exponentially bigger than what we ever thought it would be. Like, I'm talking like ESPN level. Like, they're going to hire us to be correspondents
on ESPN.
Well, ESPN, and then they're going to bring in Rutledge, and he's going to be the third guy on this show that we put together, and we're going to be like commentating different things.
You, me, and Rutledge. I like this.
And he's going to be in the middle, because, I mean, even though his beard that he has, well, at least the last that I saw, he had a pretty gnarly beard. Yeah. So, I mean, he obviously wants to be fitting in with us even more. He
wants to so bad. Every time I talk to him, he was just like, I just want to be involved with you guys so much.
I know.
Like, it's constant. Every time I talk to Rutledge, it's the first thing he brings up.
NASCAR on the beard.
NASCAR on the beard.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's where I see 5 years from now. I think that as long as we continue doing what we're doing, something's going to happen. And
I think so too.
Because that's the thing. The more we keep going, the more opportunities that keep like literally landing in our lap.
Mm-hmm. That is true. We've got a couple cool things in the works right now. So we'll see what all comes up. But yeah, that's one of the things that if we can continue down this path and something, obviously gets to our, where we can go to more events together and travel more. So I would love to be able to live stream events like we kind of talked about. It's like, just felt like I was missing so much in West Virginia. It was like, I can't be the only one that felt that way. And it would be super cool to do, like we've talked about before, and what we were set up to do in England, and then, COVID, but do a commentary play-by-play of events. And me and Sean actually got to do it at Mobfest, and it was super cool. And it was kind of, obviously I was missing doing it with you, but it was what I feel like Talking Beards could do. And we could go to these events, but the whole real life situation of, have to have a real job and traveling is super expensive, and, that whole aspect of everything. But if it was in a perfect world, we could just like every weekend we just travel to events and do a live stream from each event and sell Honest Amish and be bingo bango, and then pack it up and go to the next one.
Yep.
That'd be awesome. But
and it could be done. I mean, it could be done.
But that would be the dream. I just love everything about bearding. It's, like you, it's like we hit points. It's like, I don't even know if I feel like doing this anymore, but it's like, just keep plugging away and then it comes back, or change it up. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, obviously that's going to get boring. If you change it up a little bit, then it can kind of bring that spark back. And I don't know, it's just watching a reality show back in 2012. I just never thought we would be where we are, and here we are. And I just want to keep going with it and just see where it goes. And I see so many people come and go in the beard community, and I just don't want to be that person. I just want to keep going. Like, it's super fun, and Natalie enjoys doing it, and I enjoy doing it. And, I just want to keep going and just see where it can possibly go. I've done pretty much everything there is to do in the beard community, and I don't know, I want to keep being involved any way possible. And Talking Beards is amazing. And I feel like it could do so much more. And I just want to be involved somehow.
All right. So what other questions do you have before we stop and go into part 2, where we do the listeners' questions?
Right. So, something I had listed, but we kind of touched on it. I said, I was going to ask you just what attracted you to come to me in Austin. Like, what was it exactly that made you want to talk to me? But I feel like we pretty much touched on that.
Yes, we did. I touched you.
You touched me. And then bearding, where do you see yourself? We didn't really touch this. You said in 2012 is when you first started competing. What initially got you to compete? What was the thing? Like, what happened? Like, where did you find out about bearding, and what got you started?
Well, as a lot of people know too, with if you go back on backstories with me, I used to, like I said, I've had a long beard for over 20 years, and I was just always the guy in town that was like, oh, that's the guy with the long beard, and where I live, we have this little festival called the Maple Festival, and they've been doing a beard and mustache contest at this thing for over 50 years, 60 years at this point. And like in the mid 2000s, when I had my first beard and I was growing it, I'd do this, and you'd win a cool coffee cup and a $5 off a haircut.
Nice. You definitely need that $5 off a haircut.
I know. And so I just was accumulating all these things over that span of time. And I never thought twice about, like, I wonder if this goes on anywhere else in the world. And probably around 2008, 2009, I was dating a girl, and her dad was like showing me pictures of Jack Passion. Like, and he's like,
the man.
This guy. Yeah. And like, oh my gosh, these are like, there's like world competitions. I'm like, nah, I'm like that. I just kind of like brushed it aside, whatever. And so then I was still doing my Maple Festival ones, and just that's where I thought the world was, like
Maple
small little things. And I don't know what had happened, but I was on Facebook or something one night, and up pops this Cleveland Beard Off. And I see this information. I'm like, what the heck is this? So I start looking into it, and I'm like, wow, there's a beard contest. I'm like, maybe I should do this. And so at the time, my wife was like, yeah, this sounds like something really cool. Let's go talk, we'll go check it out and everything. So I sign up for it, and we go and we do it. And when I walk in, these guys were like, oh my God, who are you? And I'm like, wow, you guys got great beards. Who are you? And next thing you know, they're like, oh, we have a club and we're doing all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, this sounds really great. And they're like, well, you should come and join our club. And I'm like, let's just see how this all goes. And they're like, well, we're having a really cool competition in a couple weeks called the Buckshot Beard Bonanza. And I'm like, all right. So I show up to this thing and there's all these people there. And I'm going, who the heck are these people? This is like, I mean, a Whisker Wars had happened already and it was going on.
This was like backlash from Whisker Wars, kind of.
This had to be because there was a ton of people there from the show or people that I just recognized from something. And, I just started talking to people and I was like, wow, you're from where? Wow, you're from where? Holy cow. Like there was like 100 contestants at this thing. And I'm like, dude, this small bar was like, everyone was like packed in there. It was just amazing. And I ended up winning first place in the partial beard category. And I was just like, holy cow. And I'm like, where's the next one? And
you were hooked.
I was hooked. Yeah, because I was like, I met these really cool guys. And, then at that point, then I started watching Whisker Wars. I was like, oh, what is this? I'm like, this is like, oh, wait a minute. I met this guy. Oh, wait a minute. I met this guy. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. But I'd already, like, my feet were already wet in it before I even saw Whisker Wars and knew what it was about. So that's how I got all started into it. And it just kind of snowballed really quick.
I like this.
I like this too.
I have one more question that I have listed. Just, questions for Scott Sykora. If you could have any job other than your current career, what would that be?
Well, of course, doing this.
Obviously.
I mean,
if it wasn't for podcasting, if obviously we would do this, but other than podcasting, if you could have any job, what would that be?
I don't know, maybe working for a charity or like an event management company or something, putting together events. I really like doing that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Because I like doing that for the beard community too. And it's a lot of fun to like,
and that's what you were doing with like the band stuff there.
Yeah. I mean, I was, running shows, so I was doing the show management side, but I wasn't like in the actual like booking part of it. So, I mean, it's just, maybe getting back into music some way, shape or form, but I honestly I like my job, as now like washing windows, like I've always loved it. And I mean, it's given me the freedom of podcasting. So that's my biggest thing I'm thankful for with it.
Well, that's all the questions I have written down. The only thing that, I was going to kind of close with, and I feel like that's kind of what we're doing. We're going to close this one and start over. But I just want you to know that how important like the Beardcaster was to me. I don't know if you actually realize how important after, like, even like right before I met you, but like really after I met you, like how important that show was to me. How much I looked forward to it. And me and Natalie we were constantly going to competitions then. And like every Friday when we were driving to one, like I would feel super special. Like you're like, all right, this is edited, but I don't have it out yet. And then you'd like send me the uncut, it didn't have like the intro to it. It was just the episode. And I was like, yeah, I'm badass. I get the uncut, unreleased episode, and I'd listen to it and stuff before you'd release it to the world sometimes. And then you like always would mention me, and it would just, I don't know. It just made me feel important. And I don't know. I appreciate everything you did as the Beardcaster, and this whole ride's been super fun. And I just want you to know how really, really important the Beardcaster was to me. And if it meant that much to me and it was that important to me, there's no way I could have been alone. So I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. And I mean, 200 episodes has been a feat that I never really thought that I'd get to, but now I know that I got my best friend to continue for the next 200. And I'm so glad that, it's you. I don't think it could have been anyone else. It had to be you all along. It just did. I mean, and I knew it. You
created this. This was your fault.
So I created you. I turned you from this quiet guy into this talking, annoying machine.
Yes, 100%. This is your fault.
Well, this is great.
Well, thank you for it.
I thank you for the kind words, and I appreciate you very much for all that you've done for the bearding community and for holding me accountable for the things and really being a guiding light to me and someone that just deeply cares and a best friend, like I said. And I thank you for all of that.
Well, no problem. I appreciate being involved in any way possible with anything, your life or bearding or whatever. So it's been fun.
Yes. So, all right. So we're going to wrap this side of episode 200 up. Make sure you guys go over to talkingbeards.com. You can subscribe to the podcast on any or follow or like or whatever the heck it is now, because they keep switching it up.
Everything.
Yeah. So like, follow, share, save, whatever.
You can also go to thebeardcaster.com.
Yeah, it's the same site. It'll just redirect you to Talking Beards. But yeah, you can go there and you can subscribe to the podcast and make sure you tell all your friends about it. If you're interested in the bearding community, please go back and check out some older episodes. There's really a lot of information in there about how you can get involved. And make sure you listen to this next episode, because we're going to talk a lot about favorite episodes, and we're going to dive into some listener questions about the show and different things.
It's mostly a bunch of questions from Andrew, but there's a few other ones in there.
Yeah, there's some other good ones in there too. But yeah. So yeah, we're going to be talking about some old episodes and things about those old episodes. So make sure you listen to episode 2000 or
2001.
A Beard Odyssey. Oh, but yeah, 201 to get the rest of the interview.
The rest of the story. Did you ever listen to Paul Harvey?
I did.
God, me too. He was so awesome.
See, I'm already feel like I'm losing my voice now because of all the talking I did yesterday. And then we've already been going for an hour and 45 minutes here for this one.
Good Lord.
Good Lord. I need to make another thing of tea for the second part.
Yeah, make you a thing of tea, and I'm going to shuffle laundry, and then we're going to get back into it. So, this has been episode number 200 of the Beardcaster / Talking Beards. So yeah, congratulations, Scott Sakura, on your amazing feat here. And we'll see you all later, or you can just listen to us later because you can't see us. You can't. Yeah. We're like John Cena right now.
Yeah, we're waving our hands in front of our faces.
Yeah, we are.
Like literally.
Yeah, but you can't see it because we're a podcast. We're not a live show.
We're not a live show.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Ciao.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Talking Beards podcast. You can find out more information by going to talkingbeards.com. There you can subscribe to the podcast, make a donation to our show, or pick up some really cool Talking Beards merchandise. We hope to see you in the chat room. You can find us over at facebook.com/talkingbeards if you want to participate in our chat. Thank you again for checking the show out, and we hope you have a great week. Make sure you come back next week at 8 p.m. on Tuesday evening to watch the show live. Until next time, thanks.